At Team Toyota, they've been selling and servicing new and used Toyotas in your community for over 50 years. And you can reserve your next new Toyota with them today. You'll get a realistic timeline, and even in this crazy market, they won't charge you over MSRP. Or don't wait at all. With over 75 certified Toyotas, including a bunch of RAV4 and Highlanders, you can drive one home today. And you can always trust them to maintain your current vehicle. Their service and collision centers are high-tech, comfortable, and will save you time and money. Team Toyota can help you go anywhere you want, but they'll always be your hometown team. Just visit teamtoyota.net and choose from 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Hey folks, welcome to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. I'm Corey Seidman, he's Jim Salisbury. We're here on a Friday morning as the Phillies move on to the second game of a 4-game series in San Diego against the Padres, and the series began on a good note, Jim. The Phillies winning that game over Joe Musgrove, hanging 6 runs on a guy who entered with the lowest ERA in the National League, and in that regard, they bounced back from a couple of losses to the Texas Rangers earlier in the week.
Yeah, snapped a 3-game losing streak, which was a major challenge for Rob Thompson. I'm kidding. They'd gotten off to such a great start after he had taken over, but nonetheless, you don't want to be losing 3 games in a row, especially when you're in the situation that the Phillies are, when you're trying to pull yourself out of a hole. And they certainly did a pretty good job of that in the first half of the month of June. Then they lost 3 straight. 2 in Texas. Yeah, good bounce back on Thursday night. There were some real positives in that game for me. On the offensive side, Schwarber, who's really, probably been right there with Harper and Hoskins, maybe even a little bit ahead of both guys in terms of leading this June rebirth. He hits another home run, a 2-run home run, to give you some offense. And then JT Realmuto hits a 3-run home run. Looked like a hanging slider against Musgrove. Stayed on it really good. Hit it out to the right side. He had not homered since May 26th. And he's only got 4 on the year. So the drop in power is, it's a concern. It's a concern for him. You can see it in action. He's kind of been tinkering with his swing mechanics, his setup at the plate, his stride, his kick, leg kick, whatever you want to call it. He's been tinkering with his mechanics in the batter's box since spring training. So whenever you're tinkering that much, it's a sign you don't really feel good. It's a sign you don't really have your confidence. It's a sign that you're not producing. So your confidence can click quick with a good week. So I guess that, they're going to be hoping that this is a sign of JT warming up a little bit here because he's been really missing from this June rise, and his offense has not been what it was in the past. Really, the whole season he's struggled. And the other bright spot was Ranger Suarez. Maybe had his best start of the season. He's another guy that's been looking to kind of recapture something here. So he pitches into the 8th. I thought he had really good command. Only gave up 2 runs. He competed like he usually does. So those 3 things are all big positives, and you get a win. And now you have a chance to start another little winning streak here because you have Aaron Nola on the mound Friday night in San Diego, and he's been really, really good lately. His last 5 starts, I got some numbers here. His last 5 starts, the team is 5-0. He's 3-0. He's got a 1.93 ERA, 37 and a third innings. He's only given up 25 hits and just 1 home run. So that's really good because the home run has been a little bit of a nuisance for him. But he seems to have conquered a lot of demons here in these last 5 starts. He's eliminated mistakes. And when you eliminate mistakes, they can't hit mistakes. And, giving up mistake home runs has been a problem for him. So he's really cleaned that up. Great movement down in the zone. And probably the most impressive thing is in those 37 in the third innings, 35 strikeouts, and just 1 walk. So just 1 walk against his last 138 batters, and that walk is intentional, or was intentional. Sunday in Washington, he pitched 8 shutouts. So he essentially has not walked a batter. in 5 starts. The only walk he's given up is intentional. So great command, great control, and there's a difference between the two. There's control and then there's command. Kind of command is control within control, and he's had it all lately. Returning to ballpark where he pitched 7 or took a no-hitter into the 7th last August, pitching against his brother's team. So I'm sure he'll be ready for this start on Friday night, and he has to come in with a lot of confidence given the way he's thrown the ball the last 5 starts, and the team has to have a lot of confidence in him being 5-0 in his last 5 starts. So he's the guy I think, is a good guy to have on the mound as you look to try to – you ended the 3-game losing streak. Now you're trying to build a little winning streak.
Aaron Nola leads the National League this season with the lowest walk rate and the lowest whip. I'm glad you referenced the fact that he's only allowed the 1 home run over those last 5 starts, because Nola's never been like a high walk guy. He's always around the plate, but that has kind of got him into trouble in seasons past. That as we talked about all throughout last season, on 2 strikes last year, he was making too good of pitches. Not necessarily the case this year. He's also pitched well against some pretty good teams. Like this 5-start run began against the Braves when he struck out 10 Braves and nearly went complete. And 2 starts before that, he allowed 2 runs to the Dodgers over 7 innings. 2 starts before that, 1 run to the Mets over 7 innings. So we've seen Aaron Nola. It's not like he's, posting these numbers by beating up on the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. He's pitched well against some good teams. And, you look at it overall this season, a 3.11 ERA from 2018 to 2020, when Nola had 3 really good seasons in a row, he had a 3.13 ERA over that span. So he looks like he's pretty much back to the guy he was pre-2021.
Yeah, and you mentioned he's pitched against good teams. I don't even care if you're pitching against a bad team. If you make a mistake to a major league hitter, a guy who's earned his way onto a major league roster, that mistake's going to get tattooed. And he's just really done a great job eliminating mistakes, and he's gotten some chase down in the zone. He's got, changeup's been really good. That breaking ball, that sweeping breaking ball has been really good down in the zone. He can ride you upstairs when he needs to with a fastball. It just seems like he's been around a while. We've gotten to know him a little bit. He's a great team player. He wants the Phillies to do well every time out. And he was kind of denied a win by the bullpen last time out. He didn't care. He's like, we won the game. That's all that matters. But as we've gotten to know him, I think you can tell when he feels pretty good about himself. He's not a boastful guy by any means. He's very, very humble, quiet. But when he's going good, there is a discernible, spring in his step. And I've seen it lately, maybe mostly between starts, as he's out there walking off the field from his between starts work. Just see a guy who kind of can't wait to get back on the mound again. And that's what I'm seeing right now from Aaron Nola. So really eager to see him pitch tonight.
So, in talking about Kyle Schwarber hitting that 20th home run last night, that leads the National League. Schwarber has 9 home runs in the month of June here. And it's not just been the long ball. He's at 291 in the month of June. His on-base percentage is 411. And he's, cemented that leadoff spot for the Phillies. Coming into the season, a lot of us thought, I thought it was going to be the Harper Castellanos 1-2 punch in the 3-4 spots, giving pitchers the most stress. But really, it's been Schwarber and Harper, 1 and 3, those 2 powerful left-handed hitters. It's like anytime you turn the Phillies lineup over, get to the top, it has been high stress for a pitcher, because those 2, it's not just that they can leave the yard on any pitch, it's that they're going to make you work.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, they can, they're like human pitch counters, those clickers. They can drive up your pitch count in a hurry. You referenced, you thought it was going to be the Castellanos Harper show, or Harper Castellanos. It needs to be that. Castellanos had a great second half last year with the Reds. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know it was a great one. I remember following along because he was going to be a free agent. You thought maybe it was a fit in Philadelphia. They need him to join the party here. They need him to join the party in a big way if they're going to make a run at a postseason. They've had and they're having a great month of June. And he hasn't done a whole lot, so he would be a huge addition. And as other guys, it's baseball. Some, you're going to be up some nights, down, especially offense. There's going to be some leveling off. Maybe in pockets of that lineup, they could really use Nick Castellanos to get going. Starting Friday night, but definitely over the bulk of the second half, you need him. You need Harper. You need Hoskins. You need Real Muto. You need Schwarber to keep doing what he's doing. If you're going to have a shot here. So it would be nice, like I said, if he could join the party. It would be nice if Real Muto on Thursday night, if that was a kind of a harbinger of things to come, if he's going to get going here.
This Castellanos thing is pretty surprising. I mean, it's not just they had the big second half last year. It's that over the last 4 years coming into this one, he was a 290 hitter. He's 40 points shy of that. And every night with the way that Schwarber, Hoskins, Harper have been getting on base, Castellanos keeps coming up in big spots. He has like 20 more plate appearances with a runner in scoring position this season than anyone on the team. And I think he's fourth in RBIs. But just looking at these at-bats, it seems like he gets started with like an outside corner slider almost every at bat. And it's because he hasn't been able to do much with that pitch. And he often extends the zone and swings at that pitch. We are 70 plus games into the season here. Like, do you think that, have you seen any signs of, potential for Castellanos to turn this around in the second half other than the track record?
Well, I was going to mention the track record to me is the big thing. And he is a professional hitter. He's been a good hitter for a long time. He's a young man. I do think, he's going to get going at some point. I don't know it, but the track record suggests that he might. Yes, there's a lot of chase on those sliders away, and pitchers are just, exploiting that. He's got to figure out a way to lay off that pitch. But, he's changed teams. There's an adjustment process. I think we saw it with Schwarber first 2 months. But, at some point you got to get your sea legs and you got to adjust to that new team and you got to start doing some damage. Because you're paid like a guy that needs to do damage. He made a comment last week in Washington that, it was in a bigger context. They were talking, a couple reporters, I was there, and we were chatting with him about the turnaround and how things were a little bit different atmosphere-wise under Rob Thompson. And, he made the comment that the club, everybody's happy and I asked him, are you kind of implying that guys weren't happy beforehand, which they weren't. They were losing. And he said he really wasn't implying that, but he went on to say, when you play the game with pressure and expectations, it's less enjoyable. He came to Philadelphia. It's a team that hasn't been to the postseason in 10 years. He got a $100 million contract. The signing of Nick himself and of Schwarber, paired with recent additions over previous seasons of Harper, Wheeler, Real Muto, that raised expectations. It's a hungry town, hungry for a winner, hungry for a baseball winner. That creates expectations. That creates pressure. There's a big paycheck attached to him. There was a big press conference attached to him in Clearwater. All of that did more than just suggest that people are counting on him. I mean, in fact, they were counting on him to be a real difference maker. He was one of the reasons that expectations stoked. So maybe over the first 2.5 to 3 months, some of those expectations and maybe he's feeling a little bit of it. Maybe, gripping the bat too tight, pressing. And it's a hard game to play when you're pressing. It's almost impossible. You have to be in a relaxed state. And I'm not talking like on the couch laying down relaxed. I'm talking you have to be comfortable and confident and feeling good about everything when you're in the batter's box. And maybe it's just not there for him yet. But, as his stay in Philadelphia nears now 3 months, I have to think there'll be some adjustment. He'll feel more comfortable in the batter's box, whether it's just dealing with expectations. If he's pressing, he'll stop pressing and he'll produce. So I'm a believer in the track record, and they need to see something from him going forward here. And it kind of needs to begin in the short term because, you got a tough Padres team and he did a good job getting off to a winning foot in the first game of the series. But then you're going to face two real tough teams in the Braves, who I think they've won like 18 out of 21. Unbelievable. And then the Cardinals, who are always good, and they're good again. Both those teams come into Philadelphia, and you got to be on top of your game, all phases to beat them, to beat those teams. And they need Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, the Braves, man. The Braves just keep winning, keep closing ground on the Mets in the NL East. Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, they're both red hot, and Ronald Acuna is setting the tone atop that lineup. So that's going to be an entertaining Phillies-Braves series next week. Jim, we're going to talk about this a ton over the next month, but we're a little over 5 weeks away from the trade deadline. And if you just look at this logically, it seems like the Phillies would be shopping for bullpen help. Is there anything else that sticks out to you that you think that Dave Dombrowski could try to accomplish leading into the trade deadline, which is August 2nd this year?
I think there are other needs, but I don't know how many of those needs that you can possibly fill with the trade capital they have, the limited trade capital. But to me, the bullpen sticks out as area number one. Loving the job Sir Anthony's doing. I think it's, he's going to ascend here to the closer's role, though Rob Thompson will strategically employ him in the 8th inning if those were the biggest 3 outs of the game are, if that's quote unquote where the save is. But they need help at the back end. They could really use another lockdown arm. I think they could use depth in the starting rotation. And we don't know, Eflin's got this right knee flaring up again. It looks like he's going to be okay for his next start. But until you see him looking like Zach Eflin, it has to be a little bit of a concern. Plus, they only really go 5 deep there. I think they could use more bullpen. I think shortstop and center field are issues that certainly you get into your war room with your executives and your scouts and your advisors. Those have to be areas that they talk about improving. That said, Didi Gregorius had a great game on Thursday night at shortstop. If he could just stabilize this thing for 3.5 more months, he probably can live with that. I don't know what they'll do in center field. Odubel Herrera is streaky. Verling is, largely untested. If one of those guys gets going, or if that platoon gets going, you probably can get through there. But it might be that might be a nice area to look to augment. But again, I don't know how many things you're going to be able to do. I really kind of agree with you. I think the focus has to be pitching, and within that, probably the bullpen.
Yeah, those 3 one-year additions, 3 one-year additions in Knebel, Hand, and Familia kind of gone in different directions, right? Brad Hand has been pretty reliable. Corey Knebel's been up and down. Jeurys Familia has been mostly down. They signed him to that 1-year, $6 million contract. He just hasn't materialized as a high-leverage reliever. So it's a good thing that Sir Anthony Dominguez has bounced back from a couple of lost seasons the way he has, because the Phillies have needed that late in games.
Mm-hmm. I still think Knebel can bounce back. Don't ask me why. I think as he gets a few more innings under his belt, I think he's better than this. I was going to say, it does, when his struggles, they haven't seemed to the degree of a Brandon Workman when he was here, or a Heath Hembry, where every time the guy comes in, you're wondering how many base runners, how many runs. Knebel's lost control of his fastball and his breaking ball at many points over the last month, but they're still good pitches. He still misses bats. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility he could reestablish himself as a setup man or even reclaim that closer's role later in the season. They just need him to be an out-getter. I don't care about the role and the inning. Just be an out-getter. And that's going to start with getting confidence, getting his breaking ball back, being able to throw it for a strike, getting confidence in it, and then harnessing his fastball, putting it in good spots. And he really hasn't been able to do either here in the first 2.5 months of the season. But, I still like the ingredients. And I'm not ready to give up on him by any means. And I agree with you on Familia. I think those are legitimate concerns. And, Brad Hand, he got the job done on Thursday night, and he has a track record. I just don't think he's the same guy who produced that track record.
Well, the Phillies are hoping they don't need a lot of bullpen help on Friday night behind Aaron Nola, who looks to make a 6th straight very good start. He's going up against Mackenzie Gore, the Padres rookie left-hander who was the 3rd overall pick in 2017. And a little later in the series, the Phils are scheduled to face Yu Darvish. So that's going to do it for this Phillies Talk podcast. He's Jim Salisbury. I'm Corey Sodden, and we will catch you early next week leading into that big Phillies Braves series. Thanks for listening.